Hi there, I'm Jennifer with Sublimely Align, and today's alignment teaser is the squat. We're going to look at developing appropriate hamstring and glute strength, which is really critical to hip and back health. A lot of great benefits for this, and oftentimes in our society, we're a little bit weaker than we should be there. And it can be a number of reasons, but of course, sitting in the traditional sense tends to be a big culprit because we actually lose muscle mass if we spend a lot of time sitting back there. As well, if we have a chronic deep bend that we're standing with, we often take that to walking, and our walking is an opportunity with a posterior push off to actually use the hamstrings and glutes. We're missing out on this opportunity when we're just walking around. We're also missing out on the recruitment of your glutes and hamstrings if your pelvis is in front of you. So we'll kind of look at what that looks like when we squat. But what I recommend is that you do two things here, one or both. You weave the squat into already organic opportunities when you're squatting. So sitting down in a chair, trying to get something off the floor, or putting on your shoes. That would be a single leg squat, so a little more advanced. Or you actually weave repetitions of 2 or 3 into and throughout your day, just as you need a little more energy. So let's dive right in. We're going to do a double leg squat today. I do like adding on the single leg squat, but that's probably got to be a second piece. So, okay, so we're going to start. The feet need to be wider than hip distance because you need a place for the pelvis to squat down into when you actually go to your full squat. So the feet are wider than the pelvic width apart. Outside edges of your feet are lined up. And there's a couple parameters that are really important for your squat to make sure that you're recruiting glutes and hamstrings. One of them is that you want your knees to track over the ankles. So this is actually more about lateral hip musculature. But in other words, as you bend down, you want to try not let the knees have this medial moment or collapse inward. This is lateral hips, keeping them wide. And the second piece is that you want your shins to stay vertical to the ground. So I'm going to turn sideways so you can see this. So as you squat forward, what many people do is let the knees travel forward in space to squat. So if you find you're really feeling this in the quadriceps, the front of the top of the leg, or if you feel compression in the knee, you really want to check into a mirror and make sure that your pelvis is back in space and the shank is vertical to the ground. The last thing is the pelvis is really going to stay neutral to the spine ideally, and if you feel any back discomfort, that's going to give you a tip that you may be extending through the back or tucking the pelvis. Now, as you sit back, I'm going to recommend you don't go really far to start because it really indicates that you've got that neuromuscular connection and you're using the right muscles. If you can feel the hamstrings and glutes without going really low, you're going to sit back like you're reaching for a chair way back in space. And if you feel like you're falling backwards, it's probably because your trunk is not sort of counterbalancing by coming forward. You need that counterbalance with the trunk to come forward. In other words, you need the front of the hip to fold forward, so depending on how that resonates with you. And then you're going to press up to a straight leg. Pelvis is going to stop when it's over the ankles. So again, we're going to sit back in the chair really far back. You can add a little more fold, keeping the shank vertical and the knees over the ankles. And you're going to press up through the heel to a straight leg. Pelvis is going to stay over the ankles. So what I mean about the pelvis not traveling forward in space is oftentimes people come up and they do one of two things. They travel their pelvis forward, back into this space where the pelvis is forward, over the ball of the foot. Or sometimes people come up and they keep a nice, just soft knee. You really want to have a straight leg, not hyperextended, but straight, and you can test by lifting and lowering your kneecaps. You want that straight leg because you want to develop the appropriate length in that muscle to be strong. So a couple more times, we're going to sit way back, fold the pelvis forward, and then press up to straight. And certainly you can add a little more work to this by shifting your weight to one leg and playing around with using one leg a little bit more. But remember that a strong muscle and a healthy muscle is one that has appropriate length. So when we sit with the muscle short all the time, it actually loses mass, which loses the optimal strength opportunity for it. So we want to come right up to a straight leg, straight knee. And we want to try to get out of the habit of traveling the pelvis forward in space. If that's something that you do, because as soon as the pelvis travels forward, your glutes and hamstrings are no longer recruiting in the same fashion. So go ahead, add this into your day, and let me know how it goes.